First and foremost, I want to thank DriveSmart VA for picking me as a panelist to do this wonderful testimonial as it relates to my best friend, Kiara Mylisha Reese Johnson, who lost her life in a sudden and fatal car crash in Norfolk, Virginia. I am Tarnika Edmonds, a senior that attends Old Dominion University in Norfolk, VA, majoring in human services with a minor in women's and gender studies. After completion of graduation, I plan to further my education and go into the field of clinical social work. So I'm super excited about that. A little bit about Kiara's and I relationship. We were raised in Richmond, Virginia. Um, when I first met Kiara, I just remember like just wanting to be her friend. She was so mean to me, and I know if she was here today, she would probably like be laughing at what I'm saying right now. But she was mean. I was just like, I want to be this girl's friend. We were in the first grade, um, but ever since then, like we had a relationship that we stuck together like glue. You couldn't tell her anything about me that she didn't know, and it was always vice versa. Our love for one another was just immaculate. Just growing up and seeing each other transition from individuals who are always into stuff to young women who were trying to make a change and an impact in our community has always been great to myself and great to her. I'm very grateful for the time spent. I've lost so many friends, probably since the year of 2013, where I first lost um, one of my childhood friends that we were very close. So death and grieving to me has always been something that stood at the forefront, even with family. But I will say Kiara's passing has triggered a lot of past emotions that I'm currently working through um, now. And it's different. It's different losing someone, like I said, you grew up with since childhood and that you watch each other grow, that you lean onto it one another when it comes to just being friends, wanting to know more about each other, to now not having anyone at all. Our relationship was just unbeatable. Like I said in the beginning, you couldn't tell her anything about me that she did not know. We were two peas in a pod, forgetting the word, but you couldn't separate us at all. You could not separate us. Even with distance, when she was going to another university in North Carolina and I was out in Norfolk, once we got older, we were still in contact. We always, just shared those different memories of what we were doing, those different relationships, everything we had going on. Um, so yeah, that was my greatest supporter. Anything I had going on, she was there. Anything she had going on, I was there. And yeah, even on those highlights of the moments of being depressed, having anxiety rise back and forth, up and down, we helped each other through all of that. And that's what I miss the most, just being able to call someone in the midst of different emotions, being able to talk with someone in the middle of, me not having anyone to talk with. That's just what I miss. So a little fast forward to last year, around the time when COVID hit. In March of 2020, I was able to study abroad, in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And with that, Kiara was rooting for me. She's the one that took me to the airport. She was like, you know what? My nickname is Neek. She was like, I'm so excited for you. I'm so happy for you. When we come back, we're going to do all these different things. And that we did. So a little fast forward to April, I had invited Kiara to come down to my apartment just for an eventful weekend. COVID was going on. We were still in classes. It was just a lot going on that I wanted us to both like have a sense of relief, a break from the world itself. Those 3 days were just like the best 3 days of my life. I took her out to like the beach and we just like did like a paint night and just shared those moments of intimacy with each other, expressed like what we were going through and how we were going to get through it, wrote out some plans for ourselves. And this is the one person that I can literally say any idea I have, anything I want to talk about, she's going to be there to like support me, help me pick my brain. And it was always vice versa. Um, so yes, like our last 3 days were just like the best 3 days of my life. Um, Kiara and I, that Saturday, we were just like, we're going to take a nap before she hits the road. And I don't know, like it was just like when we were laying beside each other, I was looking at her kind of weird, but she just slept so peaceful. Like she looked peaceful when she was sleeping. And I was just like, okay, it's time to get up, time to get rolling because I had a meeting. Usually when Kiara and I separate from each other, she'll have me on her phone with Bluetooth and we'll talk to each other until the other person reaches their final destination. But that day, April 25th, it was just different. I had a meeting going on. She was just like, cousin, focus on your meeting. I'll let you know when I get back home. So I was like, okay, our last words to each other was, I love you. So on Kiara's way back to Richmond, Virginia, Kiara's car had cut off in the middle of the highway. And in that moment, I can only imagine all the emotions that she felt, the sense of being nervous, the sense of being scared because there was ongoing traffic from every way possible. She spoke with her mother, and then from what I understand, she went to go call the police officers. And in that moment, someone fatally hit her from behind that impacted her instantly on the scene. And that was the cause of the crash itself. I remember getting a call. I was getting myself ready for the next day. My meeting was over and I was confused. I was in distraught because I didn't understand what had just taken place. Like someone literally leaving your apartment and 30 minutes later, you hear that they've been in a crash. What do you do? And so I just remember getting myself dressed. I'm getting myself together. I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm like, Mom, Kiara just got into a car accident. I need to get to her location. My mom's like, calm down, Neek. Kiara's going to be fine. And so I just remember getting to this red light. And at that red light, I just started praying because I'm very spiritual. And I just kept asking God, keep her here, at least until I get to the scene. Let me try to figure out what's going on. And my car just wasn't in the best shape at all. And I was praying over my car just to get me to the location, get me to her destination. I had her location, and I just remember looking at her location. It was just going every which way, and that's just from her being in the ambulance truck, and um, the phone was just going everywhere. And it was just so amazing to me that you can literally text someone, because I did text her after she left, probably like 10 minutes after she left. And I was just like, this was the best weekend that I've ever had. I love you. And just to not get a response, I didn't think that, it would lead into a crash at all. So I just remember driving. And as I was driving, it was pouring down raining. And I got a Facebook message from her mother, and it literally said she's no longer here. And as I was driving, I was pouring in tears. I don't remember how I even got to the hospital at all, but I just know I got there. But in my heart, even before she sent that text message, I knew that Kiara was gone because of, I don't know, I just had that sense of feeling that she was no longer here. And so I guess her mother's message on Facebook was just that confirmation. I was still in disbelief. I got to the hospital. And her family's they're all calling me, and I'm trying to like deal with so many things at once because it's literally me driving by myself. I'm trying to explain to the doctors that, her family isn't here. I'm the closest person to her. I need to see her. And the receptionist person that was like at the front, I just remember her telling me, she just looked at me and I'm just looking at her, and I'm getting upset at this point because I'm just like, let me see her. What is going on? I just heard that she's been in a crash. She was leaving my apartment and she wasn't giving me the answers. And I remember this nurse, she came out into the waiting room. I'm walking back and forth. I have tears in my eyes. I keep crying. I'm hyperventilating. And she literally looked me in my eyes and she said, baby. And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, whatever the doctors told her mother, it's true. And I literally fell to the ground and I was bawling into tears. I started calling people because I'm just lost for words. Like I said, I'm the only person at the hospital at this time because the doctor spoke with her mother, and it was just like, it's basically not needed for you to come down here if this is, her transition of life, no longer being here anymore. And we were all just frustrated and disbelief. We couldn't believe that someone literally was not paying attention to a car sitting in the middle of the highway. There were other cars going around her, and that you would just hit her the way that you did, and impact her life the way that you did. So the emotions that I felt at that time, I was angry, I was hurt, I started to blame myself. I think for like 2 weeks straight. Of course, I was very suicidal at that point too, because I was just like, I should have been with her. Even before we took our nap, we were both discussing going back to Richmond together. But the only thing that stopped us was the nap itself, and because of what time our meeting started. So I blame myself. I felt like I should have been the one in the car with her. I should have been the one driving. We should have been in that accident together. But her family and my family really talked me out of that way of thinking. They poured into me that, God makes no mistakes, that he called her home to be with the Lord, to be with her other relatives that I'm going to speak about within my presentation. And of course, like in the beginning, it's hard to understand it. It's hard to want to listen to that. It's hard to accept that, because at the point I was only 21 years old, and you lose your best friend, someone that you've grown up with, someone that you grew with, someone that's your confidant, someone that you can lean on to when you can't lean on to anyone else, someone that knows your deepest secrets, someone that you literally spent 3 days away with, and all of that is ripped away in a blink of an eye, literally within 30 minutes to an hour. Um, and so, like I said, I couldn't understand. And so it later revealed, with everything, that the woman that hit her, she was actually having a conversation with her child. And the moment that she looked down at her phone was the moment that she ran into the back of Kiara's car. And like I said, she passed away instantly on the scene. Um, just even seeing the car after the accident happened, I remember one of my other best friends, she rode down from Maryland that night that everything happened, just to comfort me, be here with me, support me, because Kiara was also her friend as well. And we met her mother at the place where Kiara's vehicle was at, and just seeing the impact of the car itself, and I'm having little flashes of it. The impact was so mind blowing, because Kiara's car was so small. I couldn't believe that that much damage had happened. Even pulling out the clothes, her clothes from out of the car, it was hard to do that. Pulling out different shoes, I remember her shoes being stuck, braids on the ground. I think she was in the process of taking out her hair. I don't know, but all of that itself was just so traumatic for me. It was so traumatizing, and all I could do was hold her mother, because, like I said, at that moment, I was blaming myself. I was like, I should have been in that car with her. Maybe I should have never let her leave that night. Maybe she could have left in the morning. Something could have been done differently. But like I said, as her family put to me, it was nothing I could have done differently that would have changed the impact of her transition of life. It was nothing that I could have done. Even me being in that car, the accident itself still would have happened. And that for me is the most realistic part, because as bad as I wanted to believe different, I had to really sit with that and understand that nothing that happened that day was my fault. If anything, it's the person's fault for not paying attention, for being a distracted driver, for taking her eyes off the road, in a moment of her speaking with her child, speaking with whomever was in the car, whoever else was in the car with her, looking down at your phone to get to a destination, and not even realizing that a car that was sitting in the middle of the highway with her hazard lights on, um, you just take your eyes off the road for a quick second and anything can happen. And, all of that, I say all that to say that I ended up having to see a psychiatrist, and I was diagnosed with suicidal depression, generalized anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. I was already seeing a counselor before any of this happened due to some other life-altering and traumatic events that I had experienced. But Kiara's passing was the peak of my trauma. Um, I was very, like I said, I was very suicidal. I was very depressed. I tried to push myself and work at a job that I absolutely did not like. And in that job, I was taking my frustration, my anger out on people that didn't deserve it. I was hurting. I was confused. I was lost. Um, just going through our pictures every single day, I was I was baffled. I was hurt. I didn't understand how something could happen that fast and in that moment. Um, So yeah, those were all the emotions that I was feeling. I didn't have my right hand person that I could go to anymore. I couldn't pick up a phone and call her. And even just hearing like the voice messages and replaying different videos of us of that weekend, it still did not feel the fact that I was no longer going to see Kiara no more. I was no longer going to be able to call her no more. I was no longer going to be able to have her live through me, I live through her. Like that was no longer going to be what happened in the physical aspect of life. It was only going to be something that I would really get to memorize over mentally and emotionally. So with all that, where am I at now? Now I feel like I am better than where I was before. Of course, I have my days where I'm reminiscing on our the things we used to do. I'm reminiscing on the things we used to share. Being a senior on campus, you always want that one friend that you can go to events with, that you can share your highlights with. And so I don't have that no more. I do have friends that I love, I cherish. I have her family, I have my family, a great support system. But you're missing that one person that completed your life, that was literally your best friend, the person that when you think about having children in the future, that's my God, that's going to be my children's godmother. When you think about having a wedding, that's going to be the person that stands right next to me. That's the person that's getting my hair laid and just being there with me, sharing those moments, and I no longer have that person that I would literally put beside me with any and everything. So like I said, I do feel like I'm better with counseling, seeing my psychiatrist, having that extra support system on campus and things to that nature. And it just goes back to all the work I've done since her passing that created my nonprofit organization, Kitty's Greater Impact Foundation, that focuses on community service and social justice within low income and impoverished communities nationwide and globally. And so I kind of took what I did studying abroad when I was working with young women who were pregnant in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and had been put away from school. Well, I don't necessarily want to use the word put away, but have been removed from their home school and transitioned to the Women's Century Foundation of Jamaica. Just working with them itself, instilling light, love, positivity, self-awareness, self-love, just different things. And what I did was I said, you know what? Kiara was all for what I was doing, what I had going on. I want to turn that moment that we shared, even though she wasn't able to go with me, into something that I can continue to do annually, yearly, something that I can really pour into. And with that, it led me to giving back to the Women's Century of Montego Bay, Jamaica. I was able to raise about $600 to $700 for the young women I worked with, and I was able to receive 500 to about 600 physical items of donations, and I sent off 3 barrels to Jamaica. And that was kind of the highlight, of Kitty's Greater Impact Foundation. Just receiving the support, the love, being able to talk about it to different people, promote it in a way that people really understood my purpose, understood who Kiara was as a person, despite our past, despite the things we used to do, despite the things we used to be in, because nobody's perfect at all. But I just wanted to use a platform that can really showcase who we are and who we were as women, that went from me personally growing up in a predominantly African American assisted living neighborhood to now one that's in college and beating the odds that were all put against me, beating the odds that were all put against her. That's kind of where I'm at now. Even just living through those little moments of winning awards and being at ceremonies, giving speeches, and seeing that she's not in the crowd to support me physically, but always knowing that she's here to support me emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I think that's like my greatest takeaway from her passing. Crossing my sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. You want that person to be there with you to share those moments, but I know her love and her light is always going to rain down on me, regardless of where I'm at in life. I know that she's going to be there for me in the physical, well, in the spiritual realm. So that's where I'm at now. I do want to share a presentation that I put together in remembrance of her. It's entitled A Beautiful Transition of Life, dedicated to my beloved best friend, Kiara Malisha Risha Johnson, better known as Kitty J. I believe we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this title of the slide is Officially Missing You. Kiara was born on May 30th, 1999 to Shankithe Pegram and Melvin Reese and stepfather Frank Pegram. With a soul so pure and a mind so bright, I always believed that as her best friend, we would have more time on our side. However, I never thought that the last 3 days that we would spend together would be the last 3 days that I would now have to memorize over and cherish for eternity. On Saturday, April 25th, 2020, I lost my cousin, best friend, sister, and most importantly, my trusted confidant. This woman in this picture is truly, if we can go back, I'm sorry. This woman in this picture is truly embarks the word strength. Like, that's her nickname, is literally the strongest woman I know. Kiara has other siblings, definitely other best friends, cousins, wide range of family. Like, Kiara's family is so big. But this lady right here, to know that, yes, she lost Kiara April 25th, 2020. But she also lost her first child, Zaki Johnson, better known as Bam Bam, August of 2013. That itself did a lot to me in that moment when Kiara passed away, because I'm just like, really? You gonna put this lady through this again? And those were all the emotions, just being transparent, honest, open, and transparent. Those are all the emotions that I felt. I was just like, how could you put someone who already grieved the loss of her first child through this whole situation again? So when I say I commend Key's strength, her work ethic, her dedication to upholding and uplifting her kids' legacy, the way that she moves, the way that she's so humble, graceful, and that she keeps her head held high just so that she can share light on her children's life that was cut away so short due to gun violence, due to a fatal crash. You know, those are the things that I just have to commend her for, because although I don't have children, you know, just seeing the way that she speaks, seeing the way that she holds everything down when it comes to anniversary, when it comes to birthdays and stuff like that, I can only imagine, you know, the things that she goes through by herself. But what I can say is that with me personally and with those around her and the people that genuinely support and love her, that she has a phenomenal support system. And so I just wanted to shout her out that I love her and I cherish her, and that you know, this is a woman of God truly. And I just thank her for the time that I was able to spend with both of her children, my cousins, my best friend, you know, my brother. You know, this is who she is. Like, she's a strong woman. And so, yeah, we can move to the next slide. So I just wanted to incorporate some pictures of Kiara. Kiara was not only just this sister, this cousin, this best friend, this confidant, but she was also heavily into church. You know, she loved praise dance, and praise dancing was her outlet. So I have 2 pictures of that. She was into her business world, so she loved doing braids, she loved poetry, she loved writing, she loved journaling, loved art. She was into her candle business that she was just getting started before her passing. And I just incorporated pictures of her smile. Her smile was just beautiful, radiant. She demonstrated what it meant to be resilient despite any and every obstacle that may have stood her way. And the picture with the yellow shirt, that's the picture I took of her. And that was the picture kind of within her last days, that is just, I don't know, it just had a different glow to her. She had a different glow that day. So yeah, that's my best friend. This is my baby. Go to the next slide. So, a poem to my best friend. This is the poem that I wrote for her funeral. due to COVID, they had a lot of restrictions going on. And this is when COVID was at the peak. COVID-19 was at the peak of everything. So of course they had limited people that could be at the funeral home and things of that nature. But being able to see your best friend in a casket, that is what hurt me the most. It was already one thing to process the crash itself. It was already one thing to process how her car was so damaged, how it looked, process my own feelings. But to look over in a casket and see someone that you were literally with for 3 days, no longer here no more, that's what broke my heart the most. So I'm into poetry, she's into poetry, and I decided to write a poem for her um, as it relates to like her last days here on earth, but just everything that we shared. So it's entitled A Poem to My Best Friend, and it reads, I cannot begin to gather the words, but I'm sure that you know that I'm missing you. From seeing each other and talking every day, I am not sure what I'm going to do. You were the light in my darkness. Your love was always there. Everything we had, all the memories, our dreams, ripped away from me in only a few hours of you leaving. This pain is so hard to bear. As you left my house accordingly, God must have whispered, your mission is complete. Be around your brother, love. No more pain, just happiness. I need you next to me. I can only imagine your last thoughts as you reach those heaven gates. To our loved ones, my family now, understand that God does not make any mistakes. While I know that we all will be missing you and wishing you were here from day to night, I say be free, but give us your strength and peace, my warrior and beautiful angel Kiera. You put up a great fight. I love you so much, Mama. Your bestie and cousin forever, Neek. So, yeah, the emotions that I felt writing that I'm a fast poem writer and stuff, but I would say that took me about 2 days. It took me 2 days to write this because I was so hurt. I was so frustrated. I had to literally keep going back and forth and saying, like, can I do this? Can I even give this to her mother to read at the funeral? Her father had read it. Um, can I process this? Do I have the strength to even type this out? And this is my first time, well, my second time reading it since last year, honestly. And just reading it just now definitely reminded me, that life is so short and life is too short to live in anger, to live in bitterness, to live in hurt, to live in fear and stuff like that. And you really have to cherish those moments that you have with people because you never know when it's someone's time to be called home. So yeah, it was a lot to me. So we can go to the next slide. And this right here is just some pictures of Kiara and I from our 5th grade graduation to, if you see the two graduation pictures on the side, to my graduation, to her graduation, to, those moments that we've shared like at events, what she did for my birthday, a surprise birthday, get together with my other best friend, my birthday at dinner and things of that nature, her and her brother who is no longer here with us as well at the bottom. And, Kiara has so much, she has left an impact on so many people, from praise dance and being involved in church to being involved with activities and organizations on campus to being this student that rose above and beyond of anything that was put before her, to being a loving friend, daughter, sister, everything to that nature. Kiara has left a legacy, and I promised myself, after her passing, that I will continue to carry on her legacy, who she was as a person, and do what I need to do in order to continue to set the tone, set the bar for people that despite anything you've been through, you can overcome it. I have a little mantra for myself. It reads, I am somebody, my life is not over. I am somebody, I will hold my head high, chin up, critique my posture, and stand with broad shoulders. I am somebody. This is only the beginning. I am somebody. This is the start of a new journey, not the ending. I am somebody. So with that, I always try to remind myself that at the point of life where I was depressed, where I was suicidal, where I didn't figure things out instantly, where I didn't know what to do as a result of her passing, I always look back and I tell myself that, Tarnika, you still have more life. You still have another chance to make things the way that you want to make things. You still have another chance to educate people when it comes to safe driving, educate people, and when it comes to grieving, losing people, allow yourself to feel those emotions. Allow yourself to one day be hurting and feel those emotions of rage, feel those emotions of confusion. Just pick yourself back up whenever you're ready to do so. And so I would say to anyone watching this, specifically those who have lost someone in a crash, that the first year is hard because you're going through those first emotions, birthdays alone, now having that person, different moments that you always share, now having that person, but all in due time, it will get better. Even if it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will overcome and you will oversee any and everything that that crash itself put a burden on you. If it put a burden on you, that you will continue to overrise and overcome. Definitely to the teens and the younger population and generation, those who are my age, the importance of safe driving is very detrimental because, like I said, in a blink of an eye, things can change. The moment that you look down at your phone and you look up, you can be into the back of someone. The moment that you turn to your partner or someone in the car and you look back on the road, something can happen. So I would encourage any and everyone to focus on the road, put your phone down until you get to your destination. Try to minimize, the talking that you're having in the car. Music can definitely play an impact on the way you drive. And just be always aware of your surroundings. If something doesn't seem right, if a car is cut off in the middle of the highway, go around it or pull over, see if that person is okay, because no one did that for her. No one pulled over to see if she was okay. No one, did any of that. And I wish they would have, but everything, I'm very strong in saying that everything in life happens for a reason. And I would just continue to reminisce and share the memories and the love that I have with her family, my family, because my family loved Kiara as well. And we're just going to continue to outlive and uplift her legacy. So this is all dedicated to my best friend, Kiara Malisha Reese Johnson, better known as Kitty J. Again, I want to thank Drive Smart VA, this nonprofit organization, for giving me the opportunity to share my testimonial. And yes, thank you so much.